And a 3, 2, 1.
This is episode number 101 of the Homeowner Show. Whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowner Show. We're glad that you could join us this evening.
That's right.
The show's going to come out in the morning, but we record it in the evening. And Kate, we're just going to pull back the curtain for you guys right here and to let you know the show's not in the morning. All right.
In case you didn't know, this is a pre-recorded show.
That's right.
And guess when we have time to pre-record shows? In the
evening. Why?
Because we have lives and because we have children.
Right.
So those things.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Do what you will, people.
That's right.
Live
your best life.
That's exactly right. So, anyway,
mine just happened to involve children and work and things outside of this podcast.
Yeah, you and I are similar in that. So,
but
what's new, man?
Dude, it's been a weird customer week.
A weird customer week, which means it's gonna be story time.
It's a little story time. Yeah. So there's two kinds of customers I run into, and one is suspicious, and then the other is forgetful.
Oh well, where do I fit? Because I'm one of your customers.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about problem children. Is what we're talking about right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my first one was suspicious, and that's always fun. And a lot of people don't realize that when I walk up to take care of it, they don't realize that I'm the owner.
Oh yeah.
And so they tend to talk to me as if I'm like an employee of this corporation that has executives in Iowa or something, and I don't really understand what's going on.
They just think you're a worker,
right?
Someone out beating the streets, doing what you do,
which is fine. Which is actually great because I want to know how people are treating my employees.
Sure.
And so it's good that I have similar experiences to them. And so this one was just weird because it was probably a little old lady in her late 70s. And one, just to time stamp this particular episode, we're in the middle of Corona.
Yeah. And so
the protocol for us has been with my guys is look, if you're going to the door, put your mask on, put your gloves on, and just be respectful of, the customer. And it's their property. You don't know how they feel about this. And also it's just safe for you. Put your mask on.
Yeah.
So I'm all masked up and gloved up and I go to the door and she comes to the door, no mask on, barefooted. And I'm just like, okay. So we start having this conversation and she goes, well, do you want to come inside and spray the house first? Or do you want to how do you want to do this? And I said, well, do you want me to spray the inside? And she kind of looks at me cockeyed and she goes, why wouldn't I want the inside sprayed?
Yeah, I know where this is going.
And, my typical response to this is well, there's a lot of customers that I have that don't like pesticides inside their home. And so I like to make sure that they know that they have the option to not have that done if they don't want to. And she's like, well, that's ridiculous.
Oh.
Why would I want half a service?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, ma'am, it's not half a service. You still get the same warranty. You still get the same service. You still get the same treatment. We're going to get rid of the bugs. We just don't necessarily have to come inside to do it. And she's like, well, if I'm paying, and she said the price, and if I'm paying that amount of money, why should I only get half? If you only did the outside, I don't even know if I'd want to pay for half of this.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, that's fine. And I don't want you to feel like you're being taken advantage of. I said,
all of a sudden you've put yourself in the driver's seat because you're like, I can leave. If that's what you really want right now, I'm out.
Yeah. And then it just became this sort of back and forth. And I was like, look, I'm happy to come inside and do the inside if that's what you want me to do.
Right.
And then it just became, well, I just need to rethink this.
Okay.
That's fine. She goes, I'll give you a call if I make any decision. I'm like, okay. So I went back to the truck and I called my office and I said, listen, here's what's going to happen. If this lady calls, we're booked. Mm-hmm. I'm not making another water haul here for her to waste my time or anybody else's time.
Yeah. And let's be clear to our listeners, because I had this very same conversation with your dad, who is a co-owner, the original owner of the company.
Yeah.
And when I first met him, I wasn't interviewing him to come and do pest control. I knew him outside of that. And so I was like, yeah, we're about to buy a house. I would really like you to come over and spray. And he said, well, we're happy to do that, but we don't really spray the inside of houses anymore.
Right.
And I said, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that, because every pest control company that we've ever used comes inside, does their thing. And he said, well, listen, here's the thing. And you could probably explain this better than I could, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay.
He said, here's the thing. Where do you want the bugs to live? Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't really want them to live. I want them to die. He said, okay, well, I understand that. But if they're going to live, which they are, where do you want them to live? And I said, somewhere besides my house. And he said, that's what I expected you to say. Mm-hmm. Now, what we do is we spray outside so they never get inside.
Right.
And he said, if we spray outside, then there's no way they can cross that barrier without dying. And we spray a certain number of feet outside the house and a certain number of feet up the house. Mm-hmm. And then they can't get into your house. And so therefore you have no bugs. And I went, genius. Come spray my house, please.
Well, and like it's less exposure. I mean, like,
sure.
So that was problem child number one. Problem child number two was a whole different ballgame. It was someone that had actually previously used our services. Mm. And it was they'd only want just one time before, and then like, hey, we want to get on the schedule. Please come out for a regular. So today was the day, and so I had to call her on the phone because it's one of those automated gated places.
Who lives in those places?
Hoity-toity jerks. That's who.
Yeah, exactly. Jerks. By the way, I live in one of those places. Okay.
Which is why it's still accurate.
Yes.
But anyway, so I get this lady on the phone and like, hey, I'm outside at the gate. I just need to come in so I can take care of the property. And she's like, oh, we don't want you to come in.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. What's going on? She's like, well, last time you were here, after you came, the ants just got worse. Mm. And I'm like, really? That's interesting. And so I pull up my notes and I immediately remember the conversation. And I said, well, ma'am, if you recall, I didn't come to treat ants last time. And in fact, it was something completely different. And we made a note here that I had let you know that I couldn't treat for ants because the interior of the house was so messy.
They're everywhere.
And so if the interior of the house hadn't been addressed, it's really wouldn't be surprising if the ants increased. Mm. And she's like, well, we just really weren't happy with the service because the ants got worse. And I'm like, no, I know.
we fully expected that was going to happen. Wow. And
like I hate having those conversations, especially like when I've been there and like you have to be honest with someone and like the reason you're having a problem is because there's jelly all over the counter. Mm. And like at the same time I'm sympathetic. Like, look, I noticed that there are 3 rugrats running through this house and you had to make lunch and it's difficult, especially right now when there's no school and right. All this stuff's going on. I get it. But like I can't help you because what you're going to put out is way more attractive than anything I can help them get over,
right?
Or bait or any of that kind of stuff. Because anyway, it can be a much longer conversation. But like it's just always interesting to me the personality type and the way that they end up treating service people that come into their home. Mm-hmm. And again, like she probably has no idea that like I'm the owner.
Right. She thinks you're some punk that's just showing up to spray her house.
Right. And
you are.
What I am. But they think that it's weird, man. Like they think that they can talk to you mm-hmm. a different way. I
understand
because
that.
I've actually had it happen several times, not several times, where someone has just like a bee in their bonnet about something. It was like, well, I just need to call and talk to the manager. Okay. I'm like, well, you can, but he's going to ask me what to do.
Right. The manager's one step below.
Yeah. So I mean, like you're at the top of the food chain here.
Right. You got the man. Well, and so like I think that the thing that a lot of people need to understand, and this is helpful information for our listeners right now, like people like you in this service, they're going to warranty if they're worth their salt, they're going to warranty the service that they provide.
Right.
And so if you walk in there and you say, listen, I'll treat the ants. Well, guess what's going to happen? She's going to call back and she's going to say, listen, the ants are getting worse. I need you to come out and bait them again.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're just throwing money at something that you cannot fix. So there's no point in doing that. So I think for our listeners, one of the smartest things you can do is to ask better questions. And this is what we preach this all the time. Ask better questions. A better question is, can you help me understand how to get rid of these ants?
Yeah.
And you say, yes, absolutely. I can treat them, but first we've got another issue we need to solve. And at that point, it's not contentious. Nobody's mad. Nobody's upset. If you wind up telling me something I don't like, we can deal with that.
Yeah.
But you at least ask the intelligent question.
Yeah.
So, man, that's tough. Customers can be difficult.
Well, yeah, and then they, especially when they have just certain ideas in their head as to the way things ought to be done.
Sure.
And that's fine because it's their property. They don't have to do things the way that I would suggest. There's lots of other companies out there. I think there's like 36,000 of us in the Houston area.
Is that it?
That's just Houston.
Oh,
by the way.
Okay. Well, I think that really leads us into our conversation that we're going to have today. So, because I assume that the guest that we have on our show today has some pretty particular customers that they're going to be dealing with and have a way that they think this should go. Yeah, and most likely they're going to be like, we have a better way.
Well, and we should learn a lot about Kevin and I tonight, because this is absolutely a subject that I think neither one of us know hardly anything about.
Well, thankfully not.
Well, I don't mean the repair part of it. I mean, like, just broadly in general. Like,
no. Yeah.
So anyway,
it's a big subject. That's for sure.
And like everybody that we bring in that talks about real estate, it always comes up, and like none of us end up knowing what we're talking about.
Exactly.
As long as we know that it's good.
Yes.
So, and we're not going to bait it anymore. We got our friend Mason Miller in the studio here to talk about. Now he does credit repair, but we can talk about all things credit tonight, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So good. So tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you got started into it.
So I own BWI Credit Solutions. We do credit repair, credit building. Tips and tricks and pointers for all of our clients for their credit, how to build a thick file, do business credit. We do funding, all good things like that.
Yeah.
So all the fun stuff.
So,
Yeah.
and when do people typically come to you? I mean, like, obviously if you're doing credit repair, it's because their credit's not great, but I would imagine there's
other things. So maybe they need a little boost in their credit score. Maybe they're trying to qualify for a better rate, get into a different bracket or something like that.
Right.
So we can always get in there. We can add like history to their file, add some age to their file, add some trade line, stuff like that. So it literally, there's just tons of possibilities.
Well, and
many things we can do.
Just real quick, so we understand a little bit about this. Like, what distinguishes a good credit score from a bad? So, like, how many different categories are we talking about here, as far as good and bad?
Really about 4 different categories.
Okay.
So you have below 600, which is, bad. 600 to 650, which is, I guess you'd say average or below average. 650 to 700 is probably, more average than regular. And then 700 plus is good.
Okay.
And so, 700 to 750, your rates really aren't going to get much better. Really anything over 750, you're good. You've got great credit. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And as far as like, let's just call it most of America. Like where is the median credit score, or do you even know?
Mid 600s.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and about 75 to 80% of Americans have inaccurate information on their credit report and have no idea.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like how much?
3/4. So if there was another person in this room, 3 of us would have inaccurate information.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Well, it's very, very possible that even people with good credit have inaccurate information. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be as something as, small as an indicator, like maybe a bad address or something. But if it's an address on there that you've never lived in, that could be a sign of possible identity theft. And so it's definitely something you want to take care of.
Okay. Yeah. Is there ever an and this is just where my weird brain goes. is there ever an instance where inaccurate information on your credit report is a good thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it couldn't be like he had, $20,000 worth of credit line at something on.
I've never, a good positive like trade line on the credit report that's not yours. You have no idea where it's come from. Never come across that.
Okay.
So if it happened and, and you're like, it helps your credit, and I guess it's possible, but
okay.
Yeah, but I've never seen that. That's going to come out though, right? Like at some point it's going to come out, and all of a sudden you're going to be screwed because it's not accurate.
Or whoever does own that account, let's say they miss a payment,
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Then you're really in bad shape.
Yeah, and if you've taken care of your credit and then somebody that you don't even know misses a payment, I mean, a late payment, that's about 30, depending on the FICO score you're looking at, it's roughly 35% of your score, 30 to 35% of your score. So one missed payment can tank you.
Okay, so and real quick, what does FICA stand for?
FICO is the Fair Isaac Corporation.
Okay.
And so they were the first credit score. They were the first corporation to rate Americans on their credit.
Huh.
So
that's just their business. That's what they do?
Yeah, and so they actually charge, like if you were to go pull your FICO, they're going to charge you as a consumer to pull your FICO.
Okay.
And so every time you collect that data, they're going to charge you for it.
Okay. Well, that brings us up to a whole new set of things here for a moment, because there's websites out there like freecreditreport.com, and I can give a free credit report, right?
So you're entitled to one credit report every year.
Okay.
So that's what they do. Freecreditreport.com gives you your free credit report for that year. Yeah, exactly.
And if you need it past that, you're gonna wind up.
Yeah, like I check my credit, at least every 30 days.
Okay.
And so there's paid subscriptions that you can be a part of. Like, I like Experian, the Experian app, $30 a month. And, you've got all your information there. I mean, it's every 90 days, but still. And then there's other ones. There's My FICO. My FICO is every 30 days, and check your FICO scores through there. But, you're paying them $30 a month, and they're paying $1 and some change for your FICO score.
Yeah,
so it's a racket.
Oh
yeah, of course. So I've got a credit card that reports my credit to me, but it's probably just an indicator. It's probably
is it Capital One?
It's Capital One.
Is it Credit Wise?
It is Credit Wise.
Okay, so that's your Vantage. That's your Vantage score. And so Vantage came along after FICO. FICO was founded in the early 70s, and then Vantage came around, I believe, in the early 90s. I could be wrong. Vantage is a free credit score, and so they pull the same data from your creditors, but it's a free score.
Okay.
And so that's why, like, I get it all the time. Hey, my Credit Karma says I'm a 700, but my FICO is 580. Why is that? And I'm like, well, it's the difference between Vantage and FICO. They have different algorithms, and there's 10 different FICO scores. They just rolled out FICO 10 this year. So depending on what FICO score you're looking at, it can vary pretty drastically. Like, if you've never owned a home before and you go look at your FICO home score, which is either 2 or 5, and you go in there, you've never owned a home, it's going to be lower than your other FICOs because there's not a home reporting on your credit report.
Oh, so there's a whole separate credit report that people are going to look at when you're going to buy a home.
For mortgages, for auto loans, for credit cards, bank loans, all of that. Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, does anyone use the Vantage one for...
I would say about 90% of lenders are going to use your FICO. Most lenders are going to use your FICO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's kind of step back for just a minute.
Kevin needs to take a breath and realize that my credit report is not accurate or usable.
We can check it out, man. We can check it out.
Well, I'm not really concerned. I know I've got good credit.
That's good.
I don't know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
But I know it's good enough that I'm not going to be turned down for pretty much anything.
There you go.
That being said, though, like I know even looking at my credit wise, I can see some almost different buckets that they say, you're either low, fair, or high in this area or this area or this area. And it's things like credit history. It's things like the amount of money that you
utilization.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk through some of those categories that are important? And I think that's going to help us to kind of set a baseline between how you go from a bad credit place to a good credit place. Because if you don't know what those things are, then you're going to be set up for failure. And here's a perfect example. I made a really dumb mistake that I thought was really smart at the time. So when I applied for that Capital One card, it's a Capital One Venture card, which gives
good card.
It's a great card. I get 2% on everything that I spend, and I can use it for travel. And that's a pretty broad brush. The travel indicates. So, when I applied for it, I just filled out the application online. And I get back, they want to give me $35,000 for a credit line.
There you go.
And I made a really stupid mistake.
What'd you do?
I said, I don't need that much. I only want 20. And
take as much as you can get.
Yeah. And so explain why.
So the reason why you always want as high of a credit limit as you can possibly get, because you can't only use it, but you should. That should be a rule of thumb. Never go over 30%. And so let's say you have a $30,000 credit limit. You can use $10,000 on that card without it affecting your credit score. Right. So the more line of credit, the more access to money you have, and you're still keeping your balances low and you're making your payments on time, all of those things help calculate your credit score.
So really, this is, and I know this now, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
The more that they're willing to give you, it's an indicator that your credit score is good, first of all. But it means that if I wanted to go put something crazy amount on my credit card, I could do it without affecting my credit score because I have a higher limit. So, okay,
absolutely.
So let's talk about what some of those other categories are.
So payment history and payment age are big ones, and they're pretty much the same thing. So let's say you have a card, you've had that card for 10 years, right? So the age of that card is 10 years, but there's also 10 years of history. And so if you've never missed a payment, that means you've made on-time payments for 120 months in a row. And so all of those things help your credit score, which is, we were talking about trade lines, how we can add history and add age to a report. It's basically the same premise. So what we're able to do is add you as an authorized user on a card. Like, let's say you're starting out, let's say you're 18 years old, you have no credit, you never had a credit card. Okay, well, we can go and add you as an authorized user on some credit cards with age and history on them and an available line of credit, so low utilization. Boom, you're going to have a credit score.
So like your parents, for example.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's a big one. If you can leverage your family's credit, it's very easy. It is very easy. And so like if you're a young listener, which I know probably there's not a lot of young listeners, but if you are, or you need a boost, so let's say your wife has great credit and your credit is, you just never worked on it, which I get that a lot, especially with men. Women typically have better credit than men, come on.
Yep.
So we're going to do what we're going to do, right?
We're irresponsible.
I'm not going to say that, but So I mean, let's say your wife has excellent credit and she's got all these credit cards that she's been able to maintain since, high school or college or whatever. And, you've never established your credit. Get your wife to add you on all those cards, just an authorized user. Call the American Express, Chase, Capital One, whatever it is, call them, add you as an authorized user. Takes about 30-ish days, 30 to 60 days for that to report. So it'll show up on your credit report. But man, dude, the results are crazy. I've taken somebody from no credit to a 750 credit score.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, and it leads me into a place in that same bucket, which is I think that there's this idea out there that if you don't use a credit card, just close the account. But what you're doing in that moment is you are taking that line of credit out. And so your overall number of how much credit you, or how much, not credit, how much you can spend goes down, and it plays into that overall percentage that we were talking about earlier.
And a lot of people, I get the question all the time, how do I get an 800 credit score? Well, the best way to get an 800 credit score is to A, not have any derogatory items on your credit report, of course. B, have more than 15 accounts open. And so revolving accounts, so like a credit card, right? So have as many accounts open as you can possibly have, because I mean, if you think about it logically, that tells banks and other creditors that you're able to manage your money. You know, if you've got 15 different cards that you're making payments on time with, your utilization's low, your age is high, your payment history is perfect, everything is perfect on your credit report. I mean, why wouldn't they loan you money? You know, if you've got $250,000 sitting in your pocket right now, an available line of credit and perfect payment history, 10 years of age, any bank in the world is going to loan you money.
Right. Yeah. And so like I've got some credit cards. Well, let me take that back. I've got an account with some credit companies that I don't even have a card for anymore.
Yeah.
The card expired. They don't even mail me cards.
Don't close it, shred the credit card.
Exactly. And at that point,
Easy.
I've got a line of credit with them. I can use it if I want to.
If you really need it, you can go into the store, you can call them if you really need it. Yeah. But don't close it.
So then what is this this thing with banks where if you go to apply for a bigger loan, they tell you not to open any new accounts? You know what I'm talking about?
They don't want to see that you're using your credit while you're in like, let's say you're trying to purchase a home. Right. The worst thing you can do is go buy a car while you're, in the underwriting phase. Because that's going to hurt your credit temporarily. You know, it's not permanent, but temporarily it's going to hurt your credit score. And to the bank, if I'm going and I'm trying to purchase a $500,000 home and then I turn around and go buy $100,000 Cadillac or something, that doesn't look very good on paper, and so you got to look at it from their eyes. Some people can do it. Let's say I've got a paid off mortgage on a $2.5 million property and I'm trying to go purchase a $500,000 house or maybe two $500,000 houses. And then I go and I just want to buy a, nice car or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, they see on your credit report, in the underwriting process that, okay, well, that bank loaned him $2.5 million. He paid it off. No problem. Yeah. But that's not typical. And that's not everybody.
Right. So how much of a hit do you take on your credit? Like when you, I assume a typical car is like, $30,000. How big of a hit on your credit do you?
It's not a lot, 20, 30 points, but it's enough to drop you into another bracket.
Yeah. So for sure.
I mean, and everybody's situation is different. But I just purchased a vehicle about back in late April, dropped my credit 25 to 30 points. And it's coming back up, after about 6 months, after 90 days, those inquiries don't affect your score anymore. After about 6 months, you're right back to where you were.
So it's a inquiry line item on your report that has a date that it goes or expires.
So they stay on your report for 2 years.
Okay.
But after 90 days, they don't affect your score.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me ask you this then. So I've currently got a vehicle that I've been looking at. It's an old vehicle, so most places are not going to give me money to go buy an old vehicle, but I can take out a personal line of credit. And so let's say I go in and I get $10,000 out to buy this vehicle. Would it, how much is that going to affect, since it's different than it's a loan, but it's a personal loan versus a car loan?
It depends.
Versus, what kind, or different loans, different things?
Yes. So, like a credit card is going to be a revolving account. And so that's when they're going to factor utilization.
Okay.
And so if you take out a revolving line of credit, meaning if I take out $10,000, I use $5,000, I pay it back, now I have $10,000. It's not your traditional installment. Whereas an installment is I take out $10,000, now I have $10,000 and I pay all my payments and I pay it off, now it's gone.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it won't affect if you take out a personal loan, an installment loan, you'll be fine because there's no
Yeah.
utilization.
Well, and on top of that, the only reason I would do that is so that I could purchase the vehicle now, sell the vehicle that I've currently got, at which point I would have the money to pay it off. Like I'm thinking I might have this loan for a month, maybe 2, and then I'm paying it all back.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
just a short-term loan.
short-term loan,
Yeah.
just gonna give me enough to have the purchasing power.
Just
and then I'm
curious,
done.
what kind of vehicle are you looking at?
It's a Ford Expedition. No,
And
a Ford Excursion.
an older one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Like what year?
The one that I'm looking at is it's a 2004 model. They only made 5 years of those of the Excursions. They're a massive
Yeah.
vehicle. But since
They're
they only
tanks.
made them,
Yeah.
they're tanks. But since they only made them for 5 years, they're kind of a commodity at this point. So they've got to. It's weird because they're worth more than most credit people think they're worth.
Really?
You know, so like, for example, it was the only SUV that's ever been built on a 3/4 ton chassis that they make a diesel engine for. And so that in and of itself makes it very, very rare. So it's like anything, the more rare it is, the more it's worth.
Scarcity.
Its scarcity makes it worth more. So I looked at one today, just kind of browsing because I'd like to have one of these. I looked today. It's a 2005, so it's the latest model that they made. It's a diesel engine. It's got 137,000 miles on it. And they want $25,000 for it.
Dang.
Now, whoever
That held
paid,
its value.
whoever buys that is an idiot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, if that's what you want and you're willing to pay the money,
Yeah.
then it's worth every bit of that to you. So anyway, but you know, if you want a certain thing, sometimes you have to have the buying power to go out and do it.
Yep.
You know,
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Which I mean, you could go do that, man. Where you could just put the $100 down on the new Bronco.
oh man.
Come on.
Get you a Cybertruck, man. Come on.
Well, so Craig and I have actually talked about, you know, like a couple of different battery powered trucks, and
What was the one we were looking at the other day? The Badger.
the Badger.
Have you seen these?
No, I haven't.
So it's kind of weird, man. It's at a company called Nikola.
Like Nikola Tesla.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And so apparently their big claim to fame is they came out with the very first electric semi truck.
Huh.
And so now they've teamed up, and you knew who the dude was.
Yeah, it's Heavy D.
Heavy D.
Heavy D is a
Heavy D and the boys.
Yeah. Heavy D is a Diesel Brothers.
Yeah.
They rebuild diesel vehicles
Gotcha.
and refurbish them, and then they wind up right now, like their big thing is they give away a vehicle every month.
Wow.
And you have to purchase, you know, a $5 purchase on their online store gets you an entry. And so the
So it's
more
like a
you
raffle.
spend, it's a raffle.
Yeah.
And then they give away, like right now they're in the middle of giving away a 2020 F350.
Dang.
So they're giving it away, and it's jacked
That's a
up. It's got wheels.
$100,000 truck.
Oh, easy.
It's easy $100,000 truck. They're
Jeez.
giving it away.
That's
So,
crazy.
Anyway,
So anyway,
that's Heavy D.
they partnered up with Nikola and developed this truck called the Badger, which is, I mean, like, what was it, like 0 to 60, like 2.9 or something like that?
2.9.
It was ridiculous.
2.9 seconds.
Yeah.
It's
How big of a truck is it? How much does it weigh?
It's comparable to a half-ton pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got 950 foot-pounds of torque.
Jeez.
And it's got like the towing capacity on this thing.
It was like 7 or 8,000.
No.
Yeah, those electric vehicles can
We're
tow,
talking
dude.
like 15,000 pounds.
Oh, really?
That it'll tow.
Have you
Okay.
seen the prototype for the Tesla 18-wheeler?
Yes.
Yeah.
This thing's
Yeah.
ridiculous, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, one day, I mean, I would definitely love to have something like that, but you know, we're kind of not trying to spend all of our money. You know, that thing's $90,000.
Yeah.
I think
The Badger is,
the Badger is the one that, and not only that, it's got a 600-mile distance.
Wow.
That was the most
it'll
impressive
go.
part to me was
Yeah,
how far it could go.
The distance is insane, but you know, we need something that we can tow a camper with, and we need
definitely
more
tow a
room.
camper.
Well, yeah, we need more room for our kids, and
Yeah.
so it's one of those deals where it's like, man, for relatively inexpensive, I can go purchase a vehicle that will allow me to do that, and it's not going to cost me $70,000 for a new truck. You know, so anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually seen a Model 3 towing a 2-horse trailer, like full.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Dude.
And like it didn't even like struggle.
Those Teslas, man, they're incredible vehicles. Have you ever drove one?
I haven't driven one. I've ridden in one, but yeah.
They are fast.
So
They are fast.
our buddy Jordan Bean should be letting me test drive one. I know you're listening, Jordan.
Yeah, come on,
call
dude.
me over. I want to.
That's right. Well, we're kind of off track. So
That's not true. You need good credit to buy a Tesla.
Exactly.
you absolutely do. And if you want to put a deposit down on something, you need the money to be able to do it. So what are some of the other buckets that we haven't even talked about? We talked about history. We talked about credit,
Age.
What else? Is there anything else?
You know, the obvious, the derogatories, you know, those are no good.
Yeah.
Definitely shouldn't have those on your credit report.
And sometimes that's as easy as getting, you know, making sure that you're not having to send a check in with your bill, right? Like get on a automatic
Definitely.
payment type thing.
Yeah, I tell all of my clients, set up an auto pay. Just do the minimum. So that way, at least if you
You can always pay more.
have a lapse in judgment or whatever, yeah, you can always come in there. But the main thing is that you're not missing that payment.
Right.
Because those are no fun.
Yeah, and with bank automation, there's not a good excuse at
Yeah,
this
there's
point.
really not. There's really not. I mean, it does happen. You know, I've got clients that, you know, of course they've got late payments and we're pretty good at getting them off, you know, and getting them removed.
Yeah. Sometimes it's as easy as calling and saying, hey, look, I need this taken off, right?
Yeah, I just need it. Well, you can do that, definitely. Yeah, you can do that. It's a goodwill is what, you know, the creditors like to call it. So you can either send a letter, you can call them. Sometimes they want to do like a paper delete. So, you know, it's just $50, $100 or something to delete that late payment.
Okay.
So
you might pay $50 for a $30 late payment, but it takes it off your credit score,
But it gets-
which changes everything.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
Okay.
they know they've got the power.
Sure.
So
Dude, that's extortion right there.
listen, man, the credit bureaus in general extort American citizens. And I was a victim of it. I was a victim of identity theft 3 different times, which is kind of why I got into credit repair.
Okay.
So I actually went to a credit repair company and, paid them. I can't remember exactly how long it was. It was a better part of a year. Didn't see, too many changes. Had a couple inquiries fall off or whatever, but I even told them like, this is identity theft, this is fraud, and they couldn't get it off. So so anyways, so I did my due diligence. I canceled my subscription with them, or did my due diligence and figured out what I needed to do to get these accounts remedied and get them off my credit report. So that's what I did. Figured that out. Took me about, 3 or 4 months to get everything, taken care of and off of there. And so that's kind of where my journey started with credit. And then flash forward probably 3 years or so, I met a mutual friend out in Las Vegas, and she does credit repair. She does mentorships. She consults with a lot of celebrities and she's got like A-list clients and stuff like that. And I just saw her lifestyle and I was just like, man, this is all from, credit, just learning the game, learning what the public education system fails to teach us. So I was really impressed. As a matter of fact, she put me and my business partner, Christian, she put us on a private jet and flew us out to New Orleans. And she wouldn't, I was expecting to show up to the airport and she was going to be there. She wasn't even there. She just put us on a private jet and flew us out to New Orleans. And I was like, dude, that's freaking cool, man. So
what was it, just for fun or
just for fun? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just to get us out and show us New Orleans, I guess. And she didn't even show up. She just wanted to do it. I was like, that's awesome. Yeah. So, it really opened my eyes to the possibility and how it can change not only my life, but my business partners' lives. And
yeah.
So it's been a fun ride so far, man. And I've learned so much. And no matter where I end up going in life, I'll probably always stay in this area, in this space, somewhat, but no matter where I grow or where I go to, what I've learned in the last, 3 or 4 years or so will help me and my family and everybody that I know just drastically, and that's the whole premise of why I started this. I just wanted to help people. And one of the best ways to give back is to not only take somebody out of a situation where they're struggling, and they're hurting, and they're thinking about, my credit sucks every day. If you try, especially starting a business, if you're trying to do anything, credit is that one number that rules your life. In
this economy, yeah, for sure.
It really rules your life, and it dictates whatever you're trying to do in life. And man, just the sheer gratitude I get from people whenever I'm able to take them out of a situation and put them into a better situation.
Yeah.
It's worth all the money in the world, man. So
yeah, because you're truly helping them.
I mean,
it's easy to even measure how you've helped them.
Yeah.
I think one of the coolest businesses that you can be in is anyone that's very measurable. And just because you get a satisfaction of knowing, like, I did that today or whatever.
And seeing a client that, came to me, 6 months ago or whatever, and they're buying a house or they're buying a new car or they're out, I see them on Facebook and they're out and about in their new car and having fun, enjoying it and being with their family and stuff like that, man. It's a satisfaction that you can't put a dollar sign on, man.
Yeah.
So I truly love it. And like I said, wherever I go in life or whatever I end up doing, God only knows what I'm going to end up doing, but I'll take the tools that I've learned in this space and I'll definitely utilize it. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I think whenever a lot of people hear credit repair, they feel like they're going to get taken advantage of, because I think there are plenty of companies out there that are, let us consolidate all of your stuff into one monthly payment and do it that way. Like, can you kind of speak into that a little bit?
For sure. So there's definitely a negative connotation on credit repair. And that's just because there's a lot of predatory companies out there, predatory people. It's a highly emotional situation. And so they kind of prey on people that are, stuck between a rock and a hard place. And they're easy to, prey on, and
because they have to do something.
They have to do something.
Yeah.
Their back's against the wall. They have to do something. So like I said, they're easy to prey on, and, they either get them on the phone or they throw them into this fancy, web funnel or whatever and promise them the world. And, you can do this and you can do that. And then they never see the results. They shell out tons of money over time and just never see anything, and it happens a lot. Or, they pay these companies that promise them the world and never do anything. The companies never try.
Right.
And I can get into a credit report and I can tell you if somebody's been working on that file.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can tell you if somebody's been working on that file. If you've hired a credit repair company, I'll know. So, and I've had that situation where, I paid the last company, this much money and they didn't do anything. And I get in there and I don't say anything, but there's none of the accounts have ever been under dispute. So they didn't do anything. They took their money and ran. And it happens, Sure. And then there are those predatory companies and there are those predatory people, and there always will be. It'll never go away. The best way to combat evil is with good. So,
okay. So how do you know how to make sure that you're with a reputable credit repair person? Because now, one of the things that's kind of nice about your business is if you live in New York right now, you could call you and you could help them. It's different than a plumber, right? It's different than an electrician who you really have to find someone regional. So you truly can help anyone in the nation.
In the United States. Yeah.
And so there's that. But how do you know if they don't know you, how do they know who's reputable and who's not?
It's a great question. Definitely look at their web presence. Don't deal with a sole person, deal with a company, because I tell you, most of the time somebody gets burned in credit repair in this industry is from just, Joe Blow saying, hey, I can do that, it'd be this much money, write me a check, make sure you're dealing with a reputable company. check the reviews, look on Google, look on Yelp, do your due diligence before you go paying these people.
Right.
I think that's what's helped us a lot is most of our clients are from word of mouth.
Okay.
So it's a lot different, if you were to tell Craig, hey, you need some credit repair. I've got a great guy. I've got a great company.
Yep.
It is completely different than if you go and Google search credit repair and then you've got umpteenth results of these credit repair companies. You don't know which one to pick.
Right.
But you're going to go off of his personal recommendation. And so, we really love word of mouth. Most of our clients come from word of mouth. And we plan on keeping it that way.
Yeah.
So
it's a good model. I mean, it really is.
We don't run ads. We don't plan on running ads. We're doing just fine.
So kind of to that point, I mean, I mentioned that a lot of these companies are like, I'll just consolidate everything. Is that okay?
No.
Not okay? What's the
last ditch effort to get rid of some debt is to consolidate, because what it's going to show on your credit report, there's a remark on every account. And so what it's going to show is settled for less than agreed. And so let's say you take out a loan, a fat loan, let's say it's, $100,000 and you end up losing your job or, losing your house or whatever, and you can't pay that loan. So you go to a debt consolidation company. Yeah, they're going to consolidate that debt. They're going to get the creditor off your back, but it's going to end up being a derogatory account because the remark is a negative remark, and it's just as bad as having a collection.
Oh, man.
So they close the account out. They settle it. You don't technically owe that money anymore, but it's going to take a ding on your credit. And it's 7 to 10 years before that comes off.
So, but what you're talking about is like when you go to like a debt consolidation.
A debt
company.
consolidation,
Not
yes.
like when you move one amount of debt to like another creditor or something like
Exactly.
that, which I would assume is fine.
Yeah. People do that. It's a balance transfer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. People do it all the time. They move money around.
To take advantage of interest rates and things like that.
Intro rates. A lot of Discover balance transfer, they do like rewards. So if you balance transfer X amount of dollars, they'll give you X amount of points, things like that. And people actually, they call it manufactured spend. And so they will move money around in various places and just rack in those rewards.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's actually a really good way to like go on free vacations.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You rack up the airline miles or whatever, and then you pool them all together because all you're doing is gaming the system. They put the system in place. It's not like you're being illegal or anything like that. You're just playing the game.
Yeah,
there's a system.
There's actually whole blogs and like even podcasts dedicated to like the manipulation of credit cards. Yeah, like how to take advantage of different point systems and rewards and benefits and all these kinds of things.
I'll give you a little trick. So like, I'm a big fan of American Express, right? So I've got the Amex Platinum, I've got Amex Gold, working on my Black Card. So
all right.
Hopefully soon. But anyways, you can take your American Express, you can go to any Simon Mall. So like the mall down the street, the Woodlands Mall is a Simon Mall, Gallery is a Simon Mall. Most malls are Simon Malls. So you can go to a Simon Mall.
Is that like a company that manages or owns it?
Owns the mall.
Okay, got it.
And so you can go to their like their front office, whatever they want to call it. And you can buy a gift card, like a Visa gift card. You can put $500 on a gift card, right? Go to a Simon Mall, make sure it's a Simon Mall. Go to a Simon Mall, buy a gift card, put $500 on there. You can buy 10 of them, put $5,000 on there, right? So I get 3 points back per dollar I spend shopping. And so the transaction is going to show up as Simon Mall. And so it's shopping. So it's like I just spent $5,000 at the mall. But I really just got $5,000 in gift cards. Now I take those gift cards, I can run over to the post office, I can buy a money order. Then I can take that money order, I can drop it in my checking account, I can pay my bill. So now I just got 15,000 points for virtually free.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just put that money right back.
Yeah, you can just do it again if you want to. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and like someone like me, like I don't do hardly any of our finances. I have no idea what credit card points even do. What do you do with those?
There's a lot of things. You can pay your bill with them. You can shop on Amazon with them. Best thing to do is to book a flight, book a hotel.
Okay.
Your points are worth more if you travel.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where you get like for what I've got. I use Capital One Venture. I get 2% on anything I spend, no matter what it is. But if I use that cash, so to speak, to pay my bill, it's only worth 1%. But if I use it for travel, it's worth 2%.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of things like my card actually allows me to use my points on Amazon, for example. So they've got deals with these other companies that say, hey, if you do this or if you do that, and they've got partners, so you can put them on a gift card sometimes, and sometimes you get more points for using certain other certain retailers.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Then if they've got a partnership with them, you might get 2% if you use it, Duty and Burke. But if you might get 1% if you use, I don't know, like
The best example you could come up with is a purse company.
well, I buy a lot of purses, and I call them merces actually. So, but that's just me.
I see guys like you walking around all the time. Man.
Yeah,
They're a little man purse right here.
exactly. Well, and it's either that
Crunchy.
or
They're crunchy.
It's just a fanny pack too. Have you seen the Disney ones? Come on,
Oh
Frank.
gosh, dude.
No, I'm not wearing a fanny pack ever.
I never thought those would come back.
I never did either. And
And
honestly,
here they are.
if I could do one thing to like help the world, I would eradicate fanny packs.
Fanny packs.
Because everybody looks dumb in them. If you're listening right now,
You
and
can't
wear a
look
fanny
cool.
pack, I'm just saying, like I don't care how handy you say it is. It still looks dumb.
But they wear it as a fashion statement.
Absolutely, they do.
Listen,
Dude,
here's
like
what I know.
into your fanny pack, there's nothing in there.
At the end of the day, if you're wearing a fanny pack, I am like 100% certain that you are not winning a boxing match.
What it means is I can take that fanny pack from you. That's right. That's all I know.
And whatever's in the fanny pack.
That's right. I can just take it off of your body.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do?
And what are you gonna do?
So, yeah, we usually try and avoid like insulting and injuring the ego of people. But when it comes to this issue,
Fanny packs.
Hey,
let it fly.
we have a line in the
Gloves
sand.
are off.
That's right. Yeah. Our line in the sand is fanny packs.
That's right.
I don't care if it has Donald Duck on it. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Yeah, there's.
I'm glad we hit that conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's an
you know
important
what?
It's
cultural
very
moment
important.
in
Yeah.
our time.
We
Very
have a
important.
lot of conversations on here that people need to know, and this is one of them.
Very relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Where are we on the ladies wearing the fanny pack? Are we still out?
I'm out.
I mean,
You're 100% out.
Because I mean, it's basically like it's a purse. I mean, they could take it off, and put it on the shoulder.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
accepting
do
of
that
the
then.
women. I'm accepting of the women wearing fanny packs.
No, I'm
know?
out.
Yeah.
I'm out because
But
you can
guys,
we wear
on, dude.
backpacks.
Come on.
There's all I mean, my wife carries a purse that also has straps on it if she wants to wear it as a backpack. Completely acceptable. She puts a fanny pack on. I'm looking at her strange. I'm kind of going, babe, I did not know something
I didn't sign up for
very
this.
important about you.
I did
This
not
needs
sign
to
up
be
for
in the
this.
vows.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Like just for this, I should have made an annulment. I think there's things I should have known about you that I did not know about you.
Yeah.
The prenup with the fanny pack.
I-
Yeah.
I mean, the lawyer's gonna look
This
at me
addendum in
and-
here. What is that?
The lawyer's gonna look at me and go, dude, that is some pre-thought right
Yeah.
there. Like you have thought this out.
That's good.
Oh man.
All right. Well, okay. So we've hit on a couple of bad things. Like don't do this, don't do that. What would you say the number one thing that you advise people on? Do this, and you will always improve your credit score. Like, is there one thing that you say almost
Not
always?
one thing, but I can hit a couple.
Okay.
Set up auto draft on all of your credit cards. Never miss a payment. Call your creditors every 90 days. Ask for an increase in your line of credit.
Okay. Does that hurt your credit
No,
score
not at
if
all.
you ask for an increase
Not
and they
at all.
turn you down?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's like asking any question. There's no bad question.
Okay.
Is that something you have to pick up the phone to do?
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine somebody's come up with some sort of automated system.
No,
online, but-
they. I mean, as far as what I know, no. You gotta call them, and it's probably better that you call them because you're speaking to a live agent, and you know it's just sales. You know,
Chat them up, man.
Chat 'em up.
They're like, hey, how you doing today?
Chat 'em up.
Is it hot there? Because it is hot here. Like they're like, all of a sudden they're like,
win them over because you know even if they tell you they like I can't do, I promise you, they can do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar to, you know, I have clients that, of course, everybody wants a really good credit card, you know, to get rewards and things like that. And so let's say they apply. One of my favorite cards is Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Business Inc. Right? Love Chase, great company. Let's say they apply for a Chase Sapphire, they get denied. There's a phone number, you can just Google it. It's called Chase Reconsideration. Most creditors have these reconsideration lines. You just call the reconsideration line, and basically it's just sales. You just sell them on why you need a credit card, why you'd be a good customer.
Okay.
And they have the power to reconsider you. And a lot of them will tell you like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. And that's just a cop out. If you're calling that number, they can reconsider you. And so if they don't reconsider you for whatever reason, hang up and call back.
Okay. You might get a different person at that point.
You will get a different person, and somebody will give you the answer you want. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So are there instances where you call in and say, hey, I want to increase my credit by $100,000? Like, can you do that? Or would you just say,
you
is
can do
it better to just say, I want to increase my credit score. What will you give me?
Yeah. What do I qualify for?
Okay.
Yeah, you can. Like
we need to know the language here. I mean, we need to speak these people's.
That's right. Because I'm calling tomorrow, y'all.
So
I got
whenever
a day
whenever
off.
I do increases with American Express, they'll put on the application what I'm applying for the increase.
Okay.
But yeah, you can just say, you know, whatever I qualify for, I'll take it.
Yeah, and like for me, in the past year, the income in my household has changed because my wife went from working part-time to full-time. That might be something they
And that's another. I'm glad you brought that up. It's an interesting point. So.
You finally asked a good one, Kev.
That's right. It's taken 101 episodes, y'all, but I have finally arrived.
No, you know, whenever you apply for these cards in your original application, it asks you what your annual, you know, salary, how much money you make, right?
Right, okay.
And so they keep that on record. And so if you end up like, you know, your wife got a better job, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
when she went from part-time to full-time. So yeah, she
okay.
increased
So
her
she's
salary.
making more money. So your
hope so.
your entire household is technically your stated income.
Okay, right.
And so whenever you apply, make sure you use the entire household's income. It doesn't matter if your mom and dad are living with you or whatever. Use the whole house's income.
What if
as your
Grammy comes
income.
for like the weekend a lot?
What was that?
What if Grammy comes for the weekend a lot?
Use it. So like I said, it's stated income. Use it. And if you do get a raise or you get a bonus or, you know, you're making an extra, you know, $50,000 a year, call them up and tell them, and then ask for an increase in your line of credit.
Okay.
Because
So
they keep all this stuff record, you know.
So
And-
do you need to call them and then call back? Or can you do that
you
all
can do
at the same time?
Yeah, you can do it on the same phone call.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm
But definitely
tomorrow.
But definitely do it, man. You know, take care of it, and they'll take care of you. You know? So.
Hey, a minute ago you mentioned Chase, and we're actually in the middle of a refinance with Chase right now. So but we had a really interesting, one. It's been a bizarre situation because they've been stringing us out now for like 2.5 months.
It's like there's this weird thing in the air that causing people to not call you back and all kinds of stuff.
We can get a hold of people, but they just keep changing the rules, basically. So
I hate when that happens.
yeah. So and like, you know, credit score has not been a problem.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff. But like the weird one that came up, I think it may have been today. They called and they said, hey, we need you to reactivate your student loans.
What?
Now my wife has student loans and we've always
Are
paid
they
them.
in deferment?
They put them, what was it? Was it deferment? No, they put them in, what's the word? Forbearance.
Okay.
Who?
So, and apparently this is something the federal government did. They put all student loans in forbearance right now.
Yep.
And so Chase called us today and they said, hey, we need you to reactivate your student loans. We're like, we didn't even know they were turned off. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, all student loans went into forbearance. And so you got to get them turned on by tomorrow. And so we called the student loan place, and we're like, hey, what's going on? And they explained to us, like, they put all student loans in forbearance. And they said, well, it's going to take 10 business days to reactivate your account. And it's like, no, we want to give you money.
Right. Like today, now.
Like, what? I don't understand.
How do I pay?
Can I flip it? Is there a switch? I'll come down there and turn it.
Right.
But like, it's just like weird stuff like that sometimes that pops up, and it's like, it didn't affect our credit.
Yeah.
Because we didn't miss any payments or anything. But like the bank's looking at it going, well, this is.
They're not, the way they see it is that you're not able to pay it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that they were like, well, you've got this amount of money sitting over here, and we'd really just like that account cleared. We're like, what?
A bank account?
No, it was a line of credit. And they're like, and we're like, well, we can pay it off if you want, but it's at 0%. Why would we do that?
Is it a high? Like, is your balance really high? Or?
No, not at all. So it's one of those.
Mortgages are really tricky.
Mortgages are weird, and we were learning that refinances are apparently more complicated.
Yeah.
Not because like closing on a house is I mean, like for me, like it's always been pretty straightforward, but like, kind of getting there has been, this has just been like one mess after the other of like, hey, we need you to do this with this account. Hey, we need you, and it's like weird stuff that has nothing to do with our credit, has nothing to do with like our debt to income ratio or any of that. It's just like, hey, we need you to turn that account back on. Well, like, we didn't turn it off.
There's like weird stuff that a lot of creditors will do, and student loans are real bad about this because they're long payments. Like I'm still paying on mine from 20 years ago. And so not quite 20, but a long time. And so I was getting a notice, hey, your payment's coming up and it's auto drafted, so I don't ever really fully worry about it. But I pay it was like $116 a month was all I paid. I said, hey, your payment's coming up, it's $87. And I was like, what's happened? And so I called in, and they're like, yeah, we lowered your payment, you're welcome. And I was like, I don't want to lower my payment.
You're welcome.
I didn't ask for that.
Oh, okay.
And I said, what I want to do is I want to increase it to make it a round number. Let's make it 120. I don't 125, whatever it is. I want to make it more.
Yeah.
And she said, well, you don't have to do that. And I understand, but you're charging me interest every single time, and a lower payment means I'm going to pay you longer, and I don't want to pay you longer. I want to pay you less. So I need that back. And she said, well, there's a form you're going to have to fill out for that. And so I literally she had to email me a form. I had to sign it, send it back, just so I could get my payment where it was. I never asked for it to be changed. Well, guess what? A lot of people just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so
they want to put you through the meat grinder, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Make smart choices with your money. I think that, and sometimes a lower payment, it might help you. Maybe you need that. But if you don't, man, don't let these creditors screw you over just because you're unwilling to take the time to check your score,
Absolutely.
check things out. You know,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've never heard of that. Yeah, you got to go fill out this form. It's like being at the DMV.
Yeah, and it's like
I'm trying to give you money.
I just want to pay you more.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not want me to do that?
Well, and here's the silver lining in the cloud and all this stuff from us is, there's programs and incentives that a lot of people don't realize are available. And so like with student loans in particular, my wife has always worked in the nonprofit sector. Apparently, if you spend 10 years working full-time in the nonprofit sector, you can get your student loans completely forgiven.
Yeah. But there's some stipulations.
There are stipulations, yeah.
Interesting.
Because I almost fell into that myself. And it's 10 years. It has to be at the same place.
It doesn't. They changed that.
Well, I'm calling someone.
Because she had
phone
been
number, Craig?
She
Give me
had
a phone
been
number.
8 years at the same organization, and then she switched over to another organization. And she and with like a heavy heart did it because she knew that she thought she was losing the ability to get those forgiven. And when she was talking with the student loan people today, they're like, "Hey, you qualify for, and she's like, "I thought I disqualified myself."
That's interesting.
I guess I'm going to be on the phone all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because
Hey, it's worth it.
Hey,
It's
worth
worth
it.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, like that one phone call can be worth like, like what, $20,000-$30,000. I mean,
Not
like
quite, but close.
Sure.
Still worth it.
I know where you went to school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, is there anything that we haven't hit on that you think a listener might?
Man, I could talk about this all day.
Okay.
All day.
Well, and so I guess the really good thing to know is that you're available, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you're available, and at the end of the day, your credit score matters. The only way your credit score doesn't matter is if you've got a buttload of cash sitting around somewhere and you can pay cash.
Even then it matters.
It does.
Because leveraging OPM is one of the greatest things that you can do.
I don't know what you just said.
Other people's money.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
So if you've got,
I know that one.
if you've got $100 million in the bank and you want to purchase something that's $50 million, do you really want to pull $50 million out of your bank account? Or do you want to go to your banker and say, hey,
I might.
and then pay what, 3% on the note?
Yeah.
I'm paying 3% on the note
Absolutely.
to make 10% a year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a deal.
Oh yeah.
Well, so, at the end of the day, if you don't know what your credit score is, find out. And if it's not what you really want it to be, and really where you want it to be is in the 700s. And if it's not, hey, for a relatively small amount of money, they can call you,
Absolutely.
take care of it.
Yeah.
And guess what? Your buying power just went way up. And it's not just about buying stuff. It's just about having the ability to do stuff. We talk all the time. Like, if you want to buy a house, you have to have credit.
And it's
have to
very
be able to
important
do
to have, the best score that you can possibly have, because the money it's going to save you on interest over a 30-year term is just the money that we're going to charge you to do what we do is a drop in the bucket compared to what you're about to pay in interest rates.
Yeah. And so, like, this personal loan we were talking about for the excursion, I called a couple of different places, credit unions, a couple of banks, and just said, hey, I'm looking to take out a personal loan for this amount. And how much is the interest rate? Well, they need more information, right? And I said, well, last I checked, my credit score is around 800. And they said, okay, well, it's going to be this. And it was like one place was 8.5%. One place was 9.5%. One place was 5.99. And I'm like, I'm going 5.99. But at the end of the day, that could over time, that 2 or 3 percentage points could cost you a lot of money that you really don't need to worry about. So higher credit scores gives you better interest rates.
Yep.
So-
And scale that, that's a relatively small loan over a short term. Scale that to a home loan or a small business loan, a couple $100,000 or something like that over, 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, we were talking about
It adds
this,
up.
I don't know, quite a few episodes ago about how, like, a lot of our parents who were buying houses in like the 80s and 90s, and they were paying like 15% interest on these homes. Now, granted, the homes didn't cost as much as they do now, but the money, everything was relative.
Yeah.
I mean, right? So inflation has
And
gotten
rates
to a
were
point.
so much higher.
They were so much higher.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at, like, buy a house for 3.5%.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
2.9.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. And right now rates are so low. So
so
low.
low.
Now's the time to purchase. So
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah. Which is crazy. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. It's also the time to sell, because it's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it is. It's a paradox.
You're getting more money for your house than you've ever been able to get for it, and people can buy it because they're lower interest rates than they've ever been.
Yep.
It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah. And they're able to qualify.
Yeah,
More people are able to qualify now than ever.
absolutely.
So
Well, listen, we absolutely cannot let you leave until we do the most important thing of the show. Everybody holds their breath to this part of the show, and that's what we call the Final Four.
Final Four.
That's right. So these
you don't have a buzzer for me there, man?
Well, we
Some
had
horns.
one, but someone broke it.
Oh yeah. It wasn't you, was it?
It was probably me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these are the final 4 questions we ask all of our guests. So we're just going to start it off here. So what is the must-have tool you won't leave your house without?
I gotta go with a face mask nowadays.
Oh,
Gotta go with the face
Are you
mask.
going full shield? Or are you
Not full shield. I'm not all the way there. Just your regular old face mask, just to make people happy.
Yeah,
so
so
I
is
don't
this-
get weird looks and stuff.
Is this like a cloth mask that someone made, or is this like
Dude, I've got like 4 masks in my truck, and like earlier I tried to go out and go do something, and I didn't have one mask, so I went home, got all my masks, and threw them in there. I've got like
Good
cloth
call.
ones, surgical masks.
yeah? So
I'm trying here, man. I'm trying. I'm doing my part.
Have you had to do the walk of shame back to the truck?
I did it like right before I came here. Yeah.
Where you like get to the door and you're like, oh, the sign, no mask.
My mask.
Oh, I gotta go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've at this point I've got one in every vehicle that I own because I'm like, this is not going to turn out well.
Yeah.
I get somewhere and I'm like, I got to go home.
Yeah.
Not happy.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
We've got to adopt it in our daily routine now. It's kind of crazy.
That is
Yeah.
right.
No.
Yep.
Okay. Well, second question. What is a job you've walked away from? Now, I've already told you the precursor.
Yeah.
Everybody who listens to the show knows it, but what's a job you've walked away from?
Man, I've been thinking about this question. Honestly, dude, I don't have an answer for you, man.
Okay.
I don't have an answer.
All right.
I've literally never walked away from a job in my life. I don't think.
Okay.
There's probably been a situation where I couldn't do something and I called for help. I know there's been that situation, but I mean,
But you can change a tire, so you don't need help.
no.
Yeah,
He's
you're
not
right.
wearing a fanny pack. He can
Right.
change the tire.
Exactly, dude.
Exactly.
You don't see a fanny pack over here, man. We're good. We're
That's
good.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's move on to the next one then. How do you wind down at the end of a long day?
So I always go home. So I've got one of the greatest dogs, man. So
yeah?
I always go home. I hear your dog's barking.
Yeah,
So
they're out there chasing horses.
there
right
you
now.
got some cool ones too, man. But I always go home and I love on my dog and take him either on a walk. He loves his tennis. He's a lab, so he loves his
Okay,
tennis balls.
yeah.
So I'll take him. We'll go throw his tennis balls. And then before I go to bed, I got to read a couple pages out of my book. So
Okay.
yeah, it's the best way to wind down.
Anything good right now?
Yeah, there's a really good book I'm reading. My business partner Brian actually recommended it. It's called Traction.
Okay,
So you should
yeah.
probably read it.
I have it.
You're in it. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm reading that one right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Okay.
It's in the stack.
I've barely started, so I'll let you know how it is
Okay.
when I finish. But Brian, he swears by it. He's like, dude, it will literally change how you do business. So
Okay. It's
yeah.
been recommended to me several times.
It's up there.
Okay.
It's up there.
Well, I'm reading a book too now, guys. So
Oh.
if y'all want to know, it's y'all.
What book are you
It's
reading?
the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Oh, really?
So
Is it fiction?
it is fiction. It is the prequel to the Hunger Games.
Oh, really?
So and by the way,
I've heard that book is amazing.
It's fantastic.
Yeah?
So if you like the Hunger Games, it's weird.
Movie was
Yeah, I understand.
But books are better than movies, I think.
They are.
because it's your own imagination
Sure.
coming up with
Yeah.
all this, So
Yeah, it's a weird story. I'll just give you a little precursor.
Okay.
It's weird. You're gonna go. Why would I want to read watch or read? It's read right now. It's not out on the movie yet. Why would you want to read that? It's the story of President Snow growing up.
Okay.
And so you wind up actually liking him. So anyway. It's fiction. It's not going to help me make more money or get
Yeah.
more traction in my business.
Yeah.
However, it is going to help me sleep at night. So that's going to help.
There you go, man. There you go.
All right.
I haven't read a fiction book in a long time, so
Yeah.
maybe I need to pick it up.
And
you know?
once I went the nonfiction route, man, it's hard to go back to fiction. It
I'm
really
a realist, man. I'm a realist, and if it doesn't apply to my life, like it's just very hard to focus and pay attention and want to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been in this mindset, being an entrepreneur for so long, like I've got to feed that hunger.
No, it's
So,
good. I mean, it makes you a better person.
It does.
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're constantly growing, man.
Yeah,
Constantly.
absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and if you're not growing, then the opposite is true, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
all right, cool. Last question: What's one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice you've ever received?
It's got to be from my dad. Can't soar with eagles and fly with buzzards. You are who you hang out with.
Absolutely.
That man, I cannot tell you how often I literally preach that.
Yeah.
So
That hit home, huh?
yeah, man,
Yeah.
I completely
You're a
understand.
product of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah,
So,
that's absolutely true,
yep.
man.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that's really interesting now that we've broached the mask conversation.
Yeah.
And that is that mask beard is real, y'all.
Mask beard.
Mask beard is real.
Yeah.
Like bedhead goes away as soon as you take a shower. Mask beard, it's here forever.
It kind of just shapes it.
It
doesn't
does. Like
Yeah.
I've got like this weird like flare out thing going.
Yeah.
I look like a stormtrooper half the time.
Does this normally happen with you? These little
Oh yeah. That's
little handlebar?
That's actually intentional.
Yeah,
believe it
okay.
or not.
I like it. Fits
Actually
you.
intentional.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You putting some product up in that hair?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. A little wax.
A little bit wax.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's frustrating. So you gotta like I'll look into the camera here. It's getting there.
Yeah,
It's getting there.
It's very classy, man.
It's as the person that cut my gave me a beard trim the other day. She said it's trendy. I was like, I'm shaving it off. I don't want to be
Ever say that word?
I don't want to be trendy. I'm gonna go buy a fanny pack if that's the case. So, but I have to tell you, like, I'm in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to Craig's dad whenever it comes to growing a mustache.
Yeah?
Like,
No, that's a tough one to beat.
yeah.
So
Like he's
kind of got some Sam Elliott action going.
Sam
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Sam Elliott, like, yeah, all the all the men that you think of, like really good
Manly
beards,
men, yeah.
he's up there. His
Yeah.
dad, man, it's for
Yeah.
real.
So my dad's got a pretty good mustache too. It's back in the day it was red like yours. You know, he's Irish, but now it's white. So
Yeah.
Oh. Dude, I like the white facial
I do
hair,
too.
man. That's-
yeah,
I do too.
That's
That's a
good
goal.
looking.
yeah,
That's a goal of mine.
yeah,
White beard, man. I mean, you
seasoned.
earned that.
Yeah, you're seasoned, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Craig is the only one who can ask this next question.
Okay.
But there is a secret question that we have to ask you.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's vitally important to the show.
Pressure's on, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
How do people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
Very easy. You can find me on Facebook, Mason Miller. You can find me on Instagram at Texas Credit. You can call the office. Number's 936-447-9546. Visit our website, bwicredit.com. Those are the main ones, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll link all of that up in the show notes. and
Absolutely.
Send it out via the email this week.
for sure.
That's right.
Make sure people know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, please reach out, man. I'd love to help you guys. So.
Yeah. It's always good to talk to people who genuinely want to help other people, you know, and like that, to me, that almost always translates into success in their own business.
Well, that's the foundation of business is providing value,
Yeah.
providing a service,
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
People aren't going to come back if they're not getting something from you.
or refer you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's probably one of the biggest what's the word I'm looking for? One of the nicest things somebody can do for me, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I wish I knew.
When somebody refers, their friend or their family to me and my company, it tells me I've done a good job.
Yeah.
And so it's I love it, man. That's the nicest thing somebody could probably do is just refer somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you looking for compliment? Is that the word you're looking for? Is a compliment whenever people?
It is, yeah. You can use that word. That's a big compliment. Yeah.
It's the biggest word I know, actually. So that's the word I'm going with.
That's good. Yeah,
No Scrabble tournaments for Kev.
yeah. It's a huge compliment, man. And I always reach out to those people. I tell them thank you. As a matter of fact, we have a great referral program. So if you do end up referring us business, we'll pay you.
No.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Craig, what are we missing? Anything else?
Yeah. You need to hit the subscription button.
Do it now.
Subscribe, follow, click, like, thumbs up, bird, whatever it is. Dude, there was I was going through our numbers yesterday, and there was a weird app that started popping up as to way people are listening to us. And I never heard of it before, but it's like the number 3 way that people are listening to the show.
Interesting.
And I can't believe I can't remember the name right now.
Wow.
So, but like,
We need to look into it.
yeah, I know. But anyway, so you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher.
Right.
What are the other
Google,
ones?
Google Play, I think it is.
Is it Google Play or Google? I think they just changed it to Google Podcasts.
I think you're right. It's Google Podcasts. It used to be Google Play. Now it's Google Podcasts. It's now Apple Podcasts instead of iTunes. All these things change.
Long story short, you can find us.
That's exactly right.
We're out here. We're really out here.
And the YouTube channel now, which has been growing.
Yeah.
Since we've been using it.
Actually putting videos up.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So we just put up some content that you're actually not going to get here. You can go check out the review we did on that Ryobi Brad nailer.
Right.
Super, super cool.
Yeah, it is.
So
people knock Ryobi, but good products, man.
They are
cheap.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is
you'll get your money out of them.
I was going through their products today, and and I was looking at that floor sweeper again. I actually watched some reviews on the floor sweeper. So they have it's almost like a garage vacuum cleaner / broom that's powered by their 20-volt battery. And you basically, it's about a little bit wider than a lawnmower, and it's got a handle, and you turn it on and you push it. And it just sucks up everything and sweeps at the same time.
Puts it in a bag or what?
Yeah, it's almost like a wet dry vac, and it's got a little container on the back that you just take out and go dump in the trash.
They've got some cool products, man. They're ahead of the game for sure.
Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah.
So they're definitely innovating for sure. So like
I said, you'll get your money's worth out of them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like the price of like 5 Ryobi tools, you can buy like 1 Milwaukee drill.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And if I had my choice of Ryobi or Milwaukee, I'm going with Milwaukee. But for the money,
got to be smart.
Yeah, dude. It's a no-brainer. I've got like 3 Ryobis in a Milwaukee drill. I splurged one day on the Milwaukee, but the Ryobis I've literally had for probably 5 years.
Yeah.
And if I need it, it works. It's there.
Yeah.
Every time.
No complaints.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Well, cool.
Yep.
Well, listen, thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for being here.
For sure. Thanks for
great
having
episode.
me.
Yeah.
This is something that I think is long overdue, for sure. Honest. So thanks for doing that.
Absolutely.
We're here every Tuesday. Goodness, it's been over 100 episodes now. We finally arrived.
That's right. Getting a little gray hairs in us. That's all right.
But anyway, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
See you.